Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Gems of Life show. My name is Fadwa. I'm your host. As always, I welcome you and thank you for being in our space. Today, I bring you a special guest. I know I always say all my guests are special, but this guest, who is not just my guest today on the show, she is my sister and family and friend. And I'm just bringing her to the show because I know she has so many things that she wants to share with you that you can benefit from. So I am going to invite you to welcome my sister with big love, lots of love her way, because you know why? She's an amazing, amazing, amazing person. Sister Rahma, my sister, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sister, for having me with you today. I'm really honored and I appreciate this.
MashaAllah. Thank you for being here. Looking good. How's everything there? I know we are miles and miles away from each other.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
mind just sharing with our viewers where you are?
yeah, all good, alhamdulillah, it's all good. It's We are in Oman, the Sultanate of Oman. So it's around evening right now. So we're doing good. It's a bit hot. It's the summertime. So if you are planning, anyone who's planning to visit Oman, stay away in the summertime. Come in the winter only. Yeah.
That's a good tip, right? And
Yeah.
it's amazing because summertime is hot here as well. It's June. It's not as hot as it usually is. Like in the evening around 8 o'clock at night, you still need to wear a sweater. Surprisingly, it never used to be this cold at 8 o'clock at night. So good tip for sharing it with us. Yes. So how are you holding up? You're miles away from us. How's the pandemic? How has the pandemic changed your lives or impacted your lives there?
Oh, it changed so many things. I think no one expected that the pandemic would last this long, first of all. And I don't think anyone expected the changes that was going to be done, made. So many things like working from home and not going anywhere without your mask. It's a natural view right now when you see, it's unnatural when you see someone who's not wearing a mask. So it's many things have changed. We've been, locked down in and locked down out, curfews and all. I think all the world shared these things in the pandemic, and as well as emotionally wise, people have been very stressed. And usually you would think that pandemic means working from home, less stress, more being comfortable. But no, it's when it's, my choice to be at home, that's different than when I'm forced to stay at home. So this has been very, it had an effect on people here, I think in everywhere, not only here in Oman.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. We all had to adjust, right, and adapt to all the changes. And
Yeah.
I can imagine, especially even being at home and working from home, it's another added stress. You know, when you're outside, you it had its own stress as well going to work. But now
Yeah.
this time around, it's been what? This is almost the second year we're entering into our second year. And just like everyone else, we all have to adapt and adjust, unfortunately. Yeah.
Mhm.
So for those who don't know where Oman is, because I sometimes I say Somaliland and people think, where's Somaliland? Right? So you have to give a description. Where is Oman?
So Oman is in the Middle East. I think most people, I am a volunteer at the information center here in Oman. So we meet a lot of tourists who come from all around the world. So I'm like, if you want to explain, just tell them, Dubai. I think most people know Dubai. I'm like, we're 4 hours away from Dubai, from the UAE. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wonderful. Actually, you can make a day trip to Dubai then.
Yeah, it's very close. So yeah, we can go
Yeah.
and come the same day. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. MashaAllah. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, my sister, I know there's something that you've been struggling yourself on a personal level when it comes to your health. And I'm so fortunate enough for you to be able to come into our show today and be able to share your journey because I believe that your story will make an impact to others. Your story will help others in their own struggles when it comes to their health. And this is something we don't talk about, especially in our community, especially Somali community. We don't talk about these kind of things. We shy away from it. There's a stigma around it. So I am really, really congratulating you to come on the show today and be able to be open about it be vulnerable about it and share your story, because it's not just about you now, it's about you sharing your journey so it can impact somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was diagnosed with something called multiple sclerosis back in 2018. For you who don't know, multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease that affects the spinal cord and brain. So it's basically the immune system attacks the communication bridge between the brain and the rest of the body. So people with MS have difficulty walking, with mobility, difficulty with vision, with balance, with hearing, with the memory, and so many other difficulties. So for me, my symptoms were difficulty with mobility. So I wasn't able to walk for more than maybe a couple of minutes, and then I would stop because the communication would stop between my brain and legs, subhanallah. And I have difficulty with the balance as well. I've had difficulties previously with my vision and memory as well.
Wow. Wow. Looking at you, talking to you, you'll never think that there's something going on in your body, right? And
Yeah.
that's one of the misconceptions. When something is going on within our body, we cannot tell, right? So how did you get to know this is what it is? How long was the process? How did your journey actually start?
Well, it started in 2015, if not before. Started having difficulties. It didn't suddenly happen. So my body was sending me signals like something is wrong, Rahma, but I kept on, ignoring it, because usually when we have something with wrong with our health, we fear. So sometimes instead of going to the right direction, we close everything and pretend that nothing is wrong. And then I've had a problem with my vision, with walking, with my balance, but I kept on saying, oh, maybe because of this, maybe because I was overweight, so I was like, maybe because of my weight. And whenever I go to the hospital, they couldn't be, they weren't able to diagnose me correctly, because MS, it's usually diagnosed with two tests, which is MRI and lumbar puncture. So until I reached that point where I knew what I needed, it took me 3 years from going to the hospitals and healthcare centers and avoiding to go as well and ignoring the problem that I had. I used to exercise thinking that this will help. And then eventually because my problems would go and come, so I wouldn't be able to walk for maybe 3 days, and then it would disappear. And then I was like, okay, then nothing is wrong. And I would ignore. And then I would be fine, totally fine for more than 3 months. And then again, I would have difficulty with balancing. So I wouldn't be able to go up the stairs or down the stairs without holding the rail and, leaning on things. But then it would last for a few days and then it would go away again. And I would go back to being normal. So I would, neither I or the doctors were able to diagnose me until my symptoms wouldn't go away, until I wasn't able to walk or balance, not for a few days. No, it was khalas, fixed. And then they were like, okay, something is obviously wrong. And then I had the proper diagnosis in 2018.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you say mobility, when you say your vision, how has that, especially, I know you talked about your mobility, you're not able to walk at times. What about your vision? How was that affected?
I had double vision once I was driving. This is the thing about MS. You really need to be careful and aware of anything that's abnormal with you. So if you feel that something is wrong, you really need to go to the hospital as soon as possible. So for me, I was driving on my way to one of, I don't remember where, but I had my mom with me in the car. And I was driving, so I suddenly started seeing everything mixed. So my left eye got double vision. So everything was like two. So the cars, the road, everything it was scary. So I had to close my eye and drive the whole way with my eye closed. And when I reached my destination, I knew something was wrong. And then I had to go to the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That must be very scary.
Yeah, it was.
To go through that, especially when you're out there driving. It's not just your
Yeah.
safety, it's the safety of everyone around you as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things that MS helped me with was to listen to my body more and know immediately when something is wrong. So if I have a headache or if I have something, I would know like, okay, I need to pay more attention.
Yeah, yeah. How has that, changed your day-to-day stuff that you do?
Oh, a lot. So many things changed in my life. I used to love long drivings. So I would take my car key and I would drive for long, distances just to clear my mind when I have something on my mind. But now I cannot because I can drive up to 20, 25 minutes and then my legs become numb. So I can't feel them. So I cannot drive for more than 25 minutes. So that changed my job as well. I still have the same job. Thank God I have the best co-workers and manager, alhamdulillah. But so many things has changed. I wasn't, I can't go on events like before because it's an event managing company. And when it comes to day-to-day things like going up the stairs, coming down the stair, even having my cup of tea, holding my cup of tea or coffee and walking with it, I can't walk in a straight line with my cup of coffee. So many things has changed in my life since I was diagnosed.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's very, very drastic. You have to go basically 360 degrees basically to shift on how you do it. But you're
Yeah.
able to understand, right? Like just like you said, you have a cup of coffee, you cannot walk with that cup of coffee. So you have to adjust how you do things yourself right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I did so many adjustments for me and my family as well. Because at the beginning, when I was first diagnosed, I told my family. I remember I was in the clinic before receiving my diagnosis, and I kind of knew it was MS because I had a lot of research and I read a lot. So I predicted that I had multiple sclerosis. So I was sitting with my phone in the waiting room, and I was writing a letter of assurance to my family like I'm good, I'm fine, I got my diagnosis and and I wrote it multiple sclerosis, and I explained to my family what it is, and I just to comfort them that I'll be fine and I will do good. I just need you guys to be as strong as I need you to be. So alhamdulillah, it's really important as well as a patient to have a strong support system around you, to just be able to go through this journey.
Yeah, yeah. To be able to go through that journey at a very, very young age, because you're a young woman, you're a very young woman, and to think that something like this would happen to somebody young, we always have that understanding that it happens to somebody who's older. You don't see, I have never heard of somebody of a younger generation having this kind of suffering and struggling at a very, very young age. How do you go past that on a daily basis, just to think yourself, I'm young, how do you plan your days ahead and years ahead from where you are right now?
The first thing, because I remember after I got my diagnosis, I was 26 at that time or 25, and I kept on thinking about my future, and I kept on worrying as well because you don't know. MS is a disease that anything can happen anytime. You can wake up and not being able to see or not being able to do this. So for me, I had a panic attack at the beginning. I used to have a lot of, panic and not knowing what's gonna happen. And then I realized that, I felt that things were out of my control. But then I realized that things were not in my control from the beginning. They were in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala's control. So I tried to, comfort myself, remembering that things are in God's hands and not in mine. So I keep on going back to Him every time I feel like I cannot, I cannot do this, or I cannot go through this. So subhanallah, it's really important to understand that thinking about the future won't help you. It's just going to make you feel worried more. Just focus on the moment, focus on now, on what you have in your hands, and whatever the other thing that you're worrying about, just remember that tawakkul. I hand it, or I surrender it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's very, very powerful. That's if anything, whoever is listening to today, That's huge. That's one of the gems that you can pick on from today's show. We haven't even gone that far. And this is one of the gems, surrendering to something that you have no control over. And for you to recognize that at a very young age, that's amazing because it goes a long way. That's your fuel, I think.
Yeah.
Surrendering, knowing that you wake up in the morning, you just surrender to what will come your way, surrender to that day and be present with that moment because that's what you have at this moment. And not to think too much because it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right? And to have these panic attacks when you're thinking too much of the future, instead just to enjoy being the present moment and knowing that, hey, it's past my control. I cannot control this. So I'm just going to surrender to it and just be in the moment and be able to enjoy that. That's really, really powerful. Yeah. Yeah. How has your family been able to support? Because I know it's a very new thing to your family. How were they able to cope and adjust as well?
Well, I think, because MS is not a very common disease that you hear of. So it was the first time I hear of it myself and my family as well and everyone around us. So my family has been full support from the beginning, alhamdulillah, although it took them time as well to cope with the fact that I have this, but I think they read a lot about MS because it's really important to understand what's going on, to be able to accept it and to cope with it. The first step is to understanding. So myself and my family, we read a lot about multiple sclerosis. They learned how to listen to what I need instead of pushing me to because when you see someone in your family who's in need, the first thing you'll do is give your hand, like, I will help you. So at the beginning, they were like, oh, Rahma, because I would try to walk and then they'll be like, let me help you, let me hold your hand. And I would be uncomfortable at the beginning. I'm like, let me do this myself. But then, they got used to to what I'm going through. And they alhamdulillah, they've been there for me from the beginning.
That's really powerful, right? Having the family there as your support, they're your anchor. They're the ones who will be able to pull you up whenever you're down. They're there to support you whenever you feel like maybe all hope is lost. You're going to have those moments. You're a human being. And to know that you have a family member who's going to be there to support you all the way, that's a blessing. And it's, one of the things that we often shy away from and we hold ourselves from is asking for help. How do you find that yourself? Like, especially now, we have that pride, or we have that, I can manage, I can do it on my own. Because you're still holding on to, I used to be this, I am still that superwoman that I used to be able to do anything because you're independent before, very independent in doing what you want to do. How has that shifted for you to be able to go from that independent woman, even still though you can still be able to do things to a certain level? How has that transition for you where you feel comfortable enough to seek help?
Oh, this was one of the major things that I had to cope with, was asking for help, because I don't like asking. I don't know. No one likes to ask for help, but for me, I've been independent from a young age. I graduated from high school and I did not continue my studies. So I worked on my own and I found a job. I bought my first car. I even put my first, my braces on I paid for everything in my life. So being in that position where you have to ask for help was very difficult for me. And I was stubborn at the beginning. I would say no when my family would try to help me, even with simple things like taking my cup of tea from the kitchen to the table, and I would refuse, but then half of the cup would be on the floor until I reached the table by the time I'm at the table. So I would be very stubborn, and I had so many falls and so many things that happened to me because I did not ask for help. So I think I learned the hard way, and then eventually I was like, okay, Rahma, I think it's okay to ask for help. And I remember my sister was talking to me. She was like, Rahma, it's okay to say that you need help. We all need help at a certain phase of our lives. No one is perfect. No one is powerful, 24/7. We all have our moments, our vulnerable moments where And this is why we are, a family. It's not only in the good times, it's also in the bad times, the times that you need help. That my sister was like, at least you have someone to help you. Imagine the people who are born without a family or who are, alone in this life. So she was like, remember that we are always here for you. Don't forget that and ask for help. So I was like, okay, khalas. I think, every time now I need something, like, guys, take my cup of tea or help me do this and that. So
Yeah.
yeah, alhamdulillah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that shows that resiliency within you, right? It doesn't mean that you're any weaker than you were before. It just means that I'm I'm just asking.
Exactly, and that's how I translated asking help. I
Yes.
translated it as a weak person, like, oh, Rahma, you can't even walk few steps with your, cup of tea, and you need help in that as well. And then when I understood it, or when I saw it from a different point of view, I was like, yeah, okay, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, bossing them around, bring me this, bring me that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Let them serve you. Let them serve you.
Yeah, like, لا Rahman, let us serve you, let us, help you. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you asked for it, so خلاص.
There you go. Don't complain.
Yeah,
Don't complain.
don't complain.
No, that's amazing. And just like your sister said, sometimes you have that, you're fortunate enough to have that family members, right? You're fortunate enough to be able to have them around you. I can think of a million times for myself being here in Canada for 24 years on my own, especially now as a single parent. I have two children. There are times that I miss that. I miss having family members around me. When you want somebody to help you, when you would like actually somebody to help and
Yeah.
nobody's there, right? So I really appreciate that. I appreciate that you're able to make yourself vulnerable enough to be able to ask for help, because it makes a huge difference. Then you're not putting too much pressure on yourself. Right?
Exactly.
It actually shows that you're stronger, not even weak. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually the opposite. So with MS, I know there's somebody who I knew, just like you, the family. I've not met anyone, even in our family, who's been diagnosed with that, right? There's other illnesses, but not MS. But I've met somebody who went through that. And this person didn't want to go through hospital and get medication from the hospital. He wanted to go through the natural way of doing things, right?
Yeah.
Taking the natural herbs and things like that. I don't know if it worked or not, but I know over the years, he wasn't going the way he wanted it to be. But I know it's nothing to do with the medication. I think it's more to do with the progression of MS as well. What have you been doing yourself to just make sure that you're doing what you need to do to make sure you're containing what's happening right now?
Yeah, because in multiple sclerosis, it's they give you medication to stop the progression of the illness and not to fix what already happened. So for me, my walking did not enhance, but the medication stopped from things being going worse. So the first thing I remember I did after I was diagnosed, maybe the second or third week, was I was reading about the natural solutions, as you said, and I read about so many different lifestyles, or diets, or things that you drink or do. The first thing I did was go to physical physiotherapy. So I committed to physiotherapy sessions twice a week, which really helped in strengthening me, as well as the diet. So the lifestyle, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. So it's a full circle, because the things that patients don't realize is medication is only maybe 30 or 20% of the healing process, but the rest is your mentality, is what you eat, because most of the things that we go through in our lives are because of what we ate, or the way we live our life, or the way we deal with things, or emotions and all, and etc. So I remember reading about an protocol that a patient herself developed, and she was a doctor as well. So when I read about it, I was like, okay, it looked difficult, because I had to stop so many things in my life. So I was like, oh, okay, Rahma, I don't think you need this now. So I left it on the shelf for, I think, a year and a half, 2 years almost. I kept on avoiding, not, reading anything about food or drink. And then when I reached a point where I was like, okay, now I think you need to, reschedule or revisit that protocol. So I sat down and I, kept on writing the things I should do. And I started maybe 8 months ago. I started this protocol. So I altered my food. I don't eat certain things now. I only eat vegetables, fruits, everything that's fresh, nothing preserved. I try my best, no sugar as well. I cut off sugar from my life because I noticed that these things were affecting me. So, if, for example, sugar, if I eat anything with sugar, I get very tired and very, I have fatigue, I have migraines, my symptoms worsen. So, when I noticed that these things happen when I eat, I was like, okay, then I think this is the right path to go. So I changed that as well as my the way I deal with emotions, with things in life. So one of the things I'm really appreciative of for MS is that it taught me how to uh, cope, or how to deal with things, or how to deal with people and emotions. So I used to, at the beginning, I used to get frustrated or angry quickly. But with MS, because whenever I'm angry or happy, and one of the things that people don't know is that emotions really play with your symptoms. So if I'm excited, my legs become heavier and my balance is more off. If I'm angry, my legs are very heavy. I cannot even walk. When I'm sad, so anything that's above the normal uh, plays with my symptoms. So this really helps me to realize that in life you need to it's okay to you need to be very controlling, because we feel like if something upsets me, oh, I'm going to be upset the whole day. But now I'm like, okay, Rahma, think of it, is it worth it? Is this worth it to be angry about? I'm like, okay, no, it's not. So I so many things have helped me, plus the food. And I'm still trying. It's not perfect, but at least I'm happy that at least I had the first step in this.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you. I think you've learned so far and so quickly how to manage MS in your own way, even though sometimes it took you long, especially that 1 year you were sitting on it, 1.5 years you're sitting on it when it came to changing your diet and altering your lifestyle, right? And it's all about lifestyle change. It's all about lifestyle change. So it's not, like you said, just medication. It only plays a small percentage to your healing or getting better or managing MS, but it's your lifestyle. And lifestyle all is what? It's not just how you eat. It's not how you think. It's the mindset. It's the emotions. So you touched on quite a few things there that I want to go in and nibble on. Because I am more, as an inspirational coach and speaker, I'm a huge believer in managing your emotions and letting go of things that don't do well to your body, right? And right now, like, you have MS, but the biggest disease is the one that when we don't let go and we don't forgive, that can consume you, right? So if you don't, if you just let things get to you, if you let people upset you, if you hold on to things and you just carry that burden, that's another illness that you're carrying. So that's another weight you don't want to carry. Exactly. So for you to be able to see that and be able to recognize that, hey, it's affecting my life, it's affecting my health, it's actually making, what I'm actually going through is actually making it worse. I'm going to learn how to manage this. So kudos to you for being able to manage that, because one of the things that I always talk about is it's powerful to learn how to let go of things that we don't need to bear and carry. I always say it's not my burden to carry. Right? Whatever somebody had said or did, that's on them, and that's it. And I move forward and I let go. The other thing that you talked about is the emotions, managing your emotions. Like, when way maybe hyperactive, it affects your, your MS. And when you're too low, it affects your MS. So it's learning how to balance that.
Mhm.
How has that been for you? Because I know sometimes we get too excited, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, I can't help it. Yeah.
How do you maintain being too excited? Because you just want to be in that moment and be able to embrace that moment. How do you balance that? How do you manage that?
I kept on reading about it because at the beginning, as you said, I wasn't able to control it. So even when I laugh, I cannot laugh and walk. So it's either I'm laughing or I'm walking. So I'm like, when I'm walking, I'm like, please, no one, says any jokes, or because I won't be able to continue my journey.
Yes.
So for me, what really helped me was talking to myself. So if I'm angry about something, I'll do for at the beginning I'll do a breathing exercise. So I would try to calm myself down, whether I'm excited or angry, and I would talk to myself. I'd be like, Rahma, this will have an effect on your legs. So if you want to walk tomorrow to your office, you better you better control your feelings now. So it really helped me talking to myself, calming myself down, writing as well. Because one of the things that I always tell my fellow MS patients is that you need to find a vent for your emotions. So for me, what really helped me, part of my coping process was writing. I love writing from the beginning, but I discovered that it helped me release all these feelings. So whenever I'm going through something, I would go and write. That's why I decided to share my journey with my friends and family, and through Instagram. So because writing really helps me in coping with it. So that's usually what I do. If it comes to excitement or happiness, most of the time I cannot control it. I'm like, okay, guys, give me a few minutes to just calm down, and then I will continue what I was doing. But when it comes to sadness and it comes to being angry, frustrated, all of the negative emotions, it really helps when you find a vent, whether it's going to the beach, that helps you, or going out with your friends, or taking a warm shower. It could be anything that makes you feel happy. So for me, it was writing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Absolutely. Like you said, balancing between the two,
Mhm.
especially when you're sad, when you're in that a little bit of a darker
Yeah.
space. Right? And we all go through that. We all go through that. No one doesn't go through that. We have those moments. But to be able to recognize and have that awareness that this is the emotions I'm feeling right now, and to
Mhm.
have a channel to release it, it's so crucial. So it can be different for everyone, right? For you, it's
Yeah.
writing. For me, what I do is I have an exercise that I do in front of mirror, and
Mhm.
I do three things. So, and I do three things. One of which I repeat it about 5 times, and it helps me just stay connected to myself, because that's really huge, right? For you to know who you are and be really connected with what's happening, is to be true, be
Yeah.
present, and have that awareness of what's happening in the emotions, so you can manage them. So I tend to say one of the things is, what is it that I love you? And we don't say that enough to ourselves.
Yeah.
I stand there and I say, Fadwa, I love you. And I say what I love me for.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be 3 things in a day. Sometimes it could be 5 things. Sometimes it could be 7 things. So
Mhm.
it's whatever that I'm feeling that day.
Yeah.
Fadwa, I love you. And I say what I love me for. And then,
Mhm.
Fadwa, I forgive you for, you know,
Mhm.
and I forgive the things that are in there, because that sadness or whatever I'm feeling is being triggered by something, right? An emotion that's under the surface,
Yeah.
waiting to come out. So I'm addressing that. Is sometimes we don't even know. Unconsciously, it's there, but something will trigger it, right? Somebody would say something, or something would happen, and that emotion will come out. So
Yeah.
it's addressing that emotion that sometimes I'm not even aware that it's there, right? So
Mhm.
I forgive you for. It makes a huge difference. Sometimes something will come out, Rahma, something will come out. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know it was still there.
Yeah. True.
you know? Yeah, yeah. So I do that. And then the other one is, so I say that I love you, and then I forgive you, and then I say I'm grateful for. So
Mhm.
that would be the third one as well. So Fadwa, I'm grateful for, and I say the things that I'm grateful for. So it brings that balance back to my life. you know?
True.
Yeah, yeah.
True. I remember I used to do that when I would be upset about the things I wasn't able to do anymore,
Mm,
like driving or walking down the stairs without leaning or walking basically because I use a cane and a wheelchair. So whenever I walk, I have to hold someone or, when I'm walking or lean on a wall or whatever is around me. So at the beginning, I would be very upset about it. I'd be like, Rahma, this is unbelievable. You can't even take 2 steps without leaning on something or someone. So I'd be like, Rahma, thank God. You need to see what are you thankful for. So I'd be like, okay, I'm thankful for having legs. I'm thankful for being at least being able to take a few steps, even if it's not the way I wanted, but I can walk. I still can walk. So I remind myself for the things that I'm grateful for and that I have in my hand right now in this moment, and
yeah,
not for the things that I've lost or I'm not able to reach.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's really powerful, right? Sometimes we 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 hold on to the things that we lost,
Yeah.
right? And our yesterdays, we can never get it back, right?
Mhm.
So it's being present with what I have today, because the present moment is what I have, and to be grateful about it. That's really powerful. I know you mentioned about, using a wheelchair and a walker. Is that the case right now, or are you still driving as well right now?
I drive, as I said, not more than 25, 30 minutes maximum.
Okay.
So I still can drive to my, to the job, or if I'm going to anywhere that's, nearby the house. I use a cane because I was like, I need something to help me with my balance. So the cane helps me with that. And the wheelchair is for the long, drives. So
Yes.
if I'm going to the mall or if I'm going to any place that takes, that needs for me to walk
Yes.
long distances.
Mm.
And even those two items took me 2 years or 2.5 years, almost three, to realize, or to accept the fact that I need a wheelchair and I need a cane. So I would, anytime my family is like, Rahma, let's go to the mall, I'll be like, no. I will avoid anywhere that I need to use a wheelchair. So I just was not okay with using a wheelchair. For me, it was like losing a battle. You know, it was like, as you said, we have pride in the things we do. So using a wheelchair was like, khalas, Rahma, you gave up. You're using a wheelchair. So I remember going with my sister to one of the close by shops because I needed to buy shoes and I really needed shoes. So I wasn't able to find anything that was, fitting. So we went so many places that were close by that did not need me to use a wheelchair. Eventually, my sister was like, Rahma, you need a wheelchair. So you need shoes. So how about we go to the mall? And she said, we will ask them if they have wheelchairs. And I was like, I don't think so. No, it's okay. I can live without shoes. I, I will not go out anywhere. So it's like, no, Rahma, you need this. So I was like, okay. Eventually, I accepted it, and I was like, okay, let's go. So we went to the mall, and I used their wheelchair services there. And the moment I sat on the wheelchair, everything I was afraid of felt ridiculous for me. I was like, oh, Rahma, okay, this feels good. I went to the mall, I bought the shoes I wanted. And I while I was on the wheelchair, I was like, okay, this is not as I imagined it would be. I was happy. I had feelings of happiness because I refused going to the mall for around 2 years. So I was
Wow.
like, okay, I accepted the fact that this is an aiding tool and it's not something that's gonna, show me or, put me down. So I was like, okay, خلاص, and I accepted it. And within that week, I think I bought a wheelchair and I bought a cane. So I was like, Rahma, this is silly. All your fears were nothing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the story that we create in our mind, right?
Yeah,
It's the
yeah, we
story, and
predict,
it holds, yeah,
predict
it
things,
holds
and
back.
when
Yeah.
we predict, yeah, and we assume things, but then they turn out to be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's absolutely right. Wow, 2 years you did not go to the mall because of
Yeah,
a story that you created in your mind. And you know what? I can truly understand that because you felt that will completely change who you are. But it doesn't. The fact that you're using a wheelchair or a cane doesn't change you, Rahma. It doesn't change who you are. It doesn't change the person that you are, right? It just enhances the person you are right now, because you get to even be appreciative that you're able to go
I
places.
remember, yeah, a
No
friend of
longer
mine.
limited to being
Yeah,
staying at
yeah.
home.
My friend was telling me, she's like,
Yeah.
Rahma, she's MS as well. So she's like, this is your VIP ticket. So
Yes.
you get VIP parking, you go everywhere you need, you are the first in line. So she was like, take things in a positive matter. And I really, I was like, yeah, thank you. I didn't see it from that point of view
Yes,
or from that
absolutely.
angle.
You're
Yeah.
true. Yeah, you're a VIP. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's really amazing for you to be able to adjust to all that and be able to adapt. And
Mhm.
you're ready and willingly to stay without a pair of shoes.
As I said, I'm very stubborn. I don't like sudden change. So the
Yeah,
fact that it was like you either go without shoes for a year or you use the wheelchair.
yeah,
So like, okay, I think I need to go and see.
yeah.
But yeah,
But that's
alhamdulillah.
change, right? Anytime
Yeah.
something like that happens, we back off and say, "Oh, I'm not ready for this change," especially
Yeah.
a drastic change like that. That's so radical that you look at yourself in a very different manner, right?
Mhm.
You're not alone to feel that way or see that way. But what I'm impressed about you, Rahma, is you, even though it took you a year or 2 years to get to even sit on that wheelchair,
Mhm.
compared to others, maybe it may have taken them longer. And those who are listening to this show today, maybe it may not even take them that long,
Mhm.
because your words and your story and sharing your journey, it may help somebody who's just right now transitioning into that new life,
Yeah.
right? How has, I know you talked about your work and going and being supportive, and they're very supportive of your work. How has that been adjustment? Because it's an event company, right? And
Yeah.
event planning company. And with event planning company, you're traveling, you're going to places, you're attending events and all that. How has that been for you now?
Well, as well, so many things have changed because I'm the HR. I work in the HR department, but when we have an event, we all participate in it when it comes to organizing and all. So at the beginning, I would be very upset that I wasn't able to go to that event, or I would go and I would sit and I wouldn't be able to participate in helping and helping them organize. But then, as I said, I try to remind myself of the blessings that I have in my hands. So I kept on reminding myself, Rahma, you have a job, so you need to be appreciative. Even if you cannot participate in the event, it's okay. You can do other things. There are other things that you can help with. You don't need to go and walk and come and go back. So it really took me time a bit to realize that you know the things that I was going through were okay when it comes to not being able to go and come in the event. But then eventually I was like, "Khalas, Rahma, you need to, this is it. This is what you have. What will you do?" So you
Yeah.
cannot go and walk or help them to take the table from this corner to this corner.
Mhm.
What will you do? Will you
Yeah.
cry? Will you scream? Will you be upset? Will you resign? What will happen? So it's like, okay, khalas, you need to calm down. You have a job, you have people who love you, you have coworkers who are very supportive. So I try to, remind myself of the good things that I still have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the spirit, right? To stay positive.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. So for somebody who's listening today, maybe they're not even aware that they have MS. Just like you went on through it for years without really knowing. What would be
Mhm.
the couple of signs that you can share with them that maybe they look within themselves and say, yeah,
Well, MS is, the symptoms varies a lot, different from a patient to patient. So for me, I would tell them be aware of the signs that your body is sending. So don't ignore anything. If you have even brain fog, at the beginning I had brain fog, so I would forget things. I would use my phone to put reminders for literally everything in my life, even if it's drinking water. So I had to remind myself doing these things. So these are small things that you do not realize until you connect the dots. So it's really important to be aware. the signs that your body is sending. And if you feel that something is wrong, then you know something is wrong. Because for me, it took me 3 years, because when I used to go to the doctor, I would go and try to fix the symptom. So if I had double vision, I would go to the eye doctor and not to the neurologist. Because when they see your eye, nothing's wrong, but the problem is in the nerve. So you really need to be aware of your body. And if something is wrong, don't ignore it. And even if someone tells you that, it's okay, because that would happen when I would tell someone, a friend or anyone, that I think I cannot balance. They would be like, no, Rahma, you're fine. And then I would be like, okay, I'm fine. And if I go to the doctor, they will be the same thing. It's okay. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe. But then deep inside, I knew something was wrong. So if you know something is wrong with your health, don't hesitate. And if you doubt that you have multiple sclerosis, go to a neurologist. Don't go to and try to fix the symptom itself.
Yes, that's beautiful. Thank you. And what advice would you give to someone who's going through that right now and struggling?
First of all, the first step to coping with with what you have is understanding. So you need to read a lot about multiple sclerosis to, because you realize that don't Google it. Yeah, don't go to Google, because Google
don't go to
Google
Dr.
will show you. Yeah, freak you out. So don't Google it. Try to understand it by asking physicians or a neurologist or people who know, or patients as well. You can go to patients and know more about them, from them, yani, about the disease. But that's number one. Number two is accepting. You sooner or later you have to accept the fact that it's not a flu and it won't go away in a couple of days. It's a chronic illness. So it's going to stay with you for a few years until, inshallah, someone, uh, finds the correct or the right or the suitable cure for MS. So you need to try to be okay with it. So as well as finding a vent, as I said, to your emotions. Don't let your emotions eat you up, because if you go into that, you will never leave. You will always be under the influence of, I am a victim and I cannot do this and I cannot do that. I cannot walk. I cannot. So you need to, what's next? Okay, I cannot do this. You want to cry? Cry. It's okay. Be upset, be angry. But then what's next? What will you do? So you really need to find the right way to cope with it, and to, because it's not a monster. That's what I tell people. MS is not a monster. Although you cannot sometimes walk, you cannot do certain things, but it's a friend that's coming to show you, or to it's a roommate. That's what I call him. He's a temporary roommate. So you need to find a ground, a mutual ground for you to get along with each other. And you really need to focus on how to reach or how to go through your healing journey, and not only depend on medications. So try to find what will help you, whether it's your lifestyle, whether it's food, or anything that will help you. And find a support system. It's really important for patients, anyone, not only patients, anyone who's going through anything in life. You need to have your support system. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a coworker, it could be anyone. But you really need to have that support system to help you or to pick you up whenever you're not feeling yourself. And what else? I think, yeah, that's it. And talk about it. If you are going through something, don't hold it back. Talk about it, write about it. Even if it's, sometimes what I do when I'm upset and I don't want to write about it. So I hold my phone and I on the recorder, and I talk. And I'm like, Rahman, this is what I'm going through. And you you complain to your recorder,
Yeah.
and then you off, and then leave it for an hour, and then come back and listen to it. And you will know that, okay, I sound silly, crying about this. So you really need to, because life is not forever. Yeah, you need to remember that life is not forever. We all go through our hardships. For us, it's MS. For people, it could be something else. But it's your way to Jannah. If things in life were the way we wanted, it wouldn't be life, it would be Jannah. In life, you go through hardships, you go through trouble, you go through, things to help you reach to Jannah. Because it's, as my mom calls it, hardship is your elevator to Jannah. It's your expressway that lifts you to go to paradise, inshallah, with patience as well. You need to have patience. You need to have acceptance. You need to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is His way of telling you, come back to me. Life is not forever.
Yeah.
Eventually, we will all die. So, what will you do? Yeah,
Yeah.
subhanAllah.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't even need to add anything to that. I just want our listeners and our viewers just to soak all that up, all the gems that you have shared with us today, Rahma. I
Thank you.
truly appreciate my sister, my beautiful sister, my strong, courageous sister. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here today. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really had fun today, and thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Well, to everyone listening and watching this video or listening to our audio on CKMS Radio 102.7 FM, join us every Friday, 6 to 7. And please share your comment, follow us on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment. And if you want to reach out to us, if you want to reach out to our sister Rahma, send us a message and I'll be more than happy to connect you with her. I hope this video, this message really touched your heart today, because I believe there's somebody who can benefit from this message. So if you know somebody who's struggling with MS or any other type of struggles in their life when it comes to their health, share this message with them. Share one gem that you picked up from this today, because you never know who you can change, whose life you can impact with one single message. And as always, I leave you with this: aspire to inspire. Rahma, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Habibti, for having me with you today.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you. I'd love to have you here again. Thank you.
Anytime.
Yes. Everyone else, take care. Aspire to inspire. Today, that's all I have for you, the Gems of Life show. Follow us on CKMS Radio 102.7 or our YouTube channel. Take care.